To plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow. Now, we should be filling our plates 75% full of vegetables. That's a challenge for most of us. But what better way to enjoy whole nourishing food than to plant a vegetable garden? Now, some of you may be experienced gardeners and some of you may be new, just starting out. But today, I'm hoping that we can meet with some experienced gardeners and learn some of the tricks of the trade of gardening here in Tehachapi. I'm Lori Friesen with Living Well Up Here. Let's get started. Beside the benefits of gardening of exercise, sunshine, and healthy veggies, there may be some not so well-known benefits. One of the benefits is digging in the dirt actually improves our immune system. Secondly, the mycobacterium that you find in soil actually activates the production of serotonin, which is the feel-good neurotransmitter that helps support our mood. Now, gardening here in Tehachapi can be challenging, and things that we're going to look at today to help support all of us vegetable gardeners here is microclimates, preparing your garden, what grows well here, how do we do pest control. And we're going to talk to three very experienced gardeners and find out their tips and secrets for growing a successful vegetable garden here in Tehachapi. Let's get started.
Hi, my name is Amy Walker, and I've lived in Tehachapi 30 years, and I've done some type of gardening almost that entire time. Years ago, I was in college and working on my master's degree and experiencing some health issues that were mostly related to stress, and a doctor was kind enough to just pull me aside and tell me I really had to do something to find a way to relieve stress. And I actually started pulling weeds, which as a child I hated, but it was a way I was able to actually turn off my mind and stop thinking. I tend to be a vision person, that I'm always thinking of the next thing and creating in my mind, and so I really needed a way to shut that off and just have time to relax and let things compress. So once I started pulling weeds, I noticed that I was starting to feel healthier and better, and I actually enjoyed it. So I decided to start planting a few things.
Hi, my name is Jackie Kunik, and I have been gardening just recently in the past couple years. I grew up with a family that gardened, so it wasn't totally new to me. My mom had done the rain gutter gardening and different types of bucket gardening. So on my own, it's probably been 2 to 3 years that I've gotten more serious about it. The reason I like to garden is because there's nothing better than your own fresh vegetables to grow. It's fun and exciting to watch them grow from, baby plants to these ginormous plants that are taken over, and going out to, pick your fresh vegetables off the vine and be able to eat them. It saves you a trip to the store when you live far away. So I think it's amazing to be able to have your own garden to be able to do that.
My name is Scottie, and I've been a vegetable gardener here in BVS for about 2 years, since early 2018. Gardening for me is just a joy. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love coming out and working in the dirt and watching the little seedlings come up out of the ground and harvesting the produce at the end. And when we moved out here to Bear Valley Springs from the big city of Ontario, we had this amazing property, and we thought, hey, why not utilize it to grow our own fruits and veggies? Our garden design was definitely a work in progress and an evolution. We started out just planting seeds in the ground. We knew that this patch over here had direct sunlight, and we knew it was going to be a good spot. But just a few weeks after planting, we realized that gophers were a problem, and they would come in and eat all of our seeds and our roots and our little fresh seedlings. So we made garden beds with galvanized hardware cloth on the bottom, and that kept out the gophers. So then we planted more seeds and realized that ground squirrels and deer were going to be a problem. So we put bird netting over all of those guys, and we thought we were good for a while, but then it turns out that ground squirrels can eat through bird netting. So as you can see, we have reached the next stage of evolution. We have put chicken wire cages over everybody, and we're hoping that this year we'll get a full harvest.
My garden design was chosen from my husband. He didn't draw out any blueprints or anything like that. I just asked that I had a greenhouse so that we could grow vegetables year-round with our heavy climate around here in Tehachapi. So he just started building. He's really smart. He's got the wits, and he's a handyman. So he was able to come up with this just minute after minute as he was building. He put it together.
So over the years, I've tried different types of garden design. I have gardened in the ground, which is possible, but after ground squirrels and gophers figure out you're watering, they usually invade. So you can usually get about 1 year in the ground before you have problems. But the methods that I have found that work best are raised bed boxes. And I've tried 4 different designs on those, and I finally decided on a lapped notched box that has a aluminum rod through the corner, which is both beautiful, but it's sturdy and works just really well to move it around if you had to, if you wanted to take out the soil or raise and lower it. And it just works really well. Right now I live in Bear Valley Springs near the gate in a little valley that is surrounded mostly by mountains, but it's pretty protected. It's probably a zone 7, but I've lived in Tehachapi 30 years and also gardened in a zone 1, or what we believe was probably a zone 1 microclimate. So I've tried a few things, and I've been able to try different soil types in town where it's clay versus more of a loam here in Bear Valley, and then of course raised beds.
In Bear Valley Springs, we're located right off of Bear Valley Road, kind of near the church. And so our zone is usually around zone 8, which means that our lows are about 28 degrees. Sometimes we get 17 degrees here and there, but usually a low of 28 and sometimes highs of 100 degrees. So we've got to get some plants that like some heat too in the summertime. One thing we have to really look out for here in Bear Valley, especially in this area, is wind. Wind can get to be sometimes 70 miles an hour through here. It just rips everything right up off the ground. We have a few trees planted out back, and we really have to protect them and make sure that they're not going to get too damaged from the wind. So that is definitely a consideration.
So we just built this greenhouse and finished it about 3 weeks ago. So I'm not exactly sure how the climate inside the greenhouse is going to be during the summer or the winter. Although we did have a temperature last week, it was about 65 degrees outside, and inside the greenhouse was 116 with about an 80% humidity. So it got really hot inside there. We had to now keep the doors open, or the door and the windows open, to try and ventilate it a little bit more. So it's definitely going to get really hot when we reach temperatures of 90 degrees. So we're going to have to work on some type of fan and venting for the greenhouse so things don't get too hot.
So Tehachapi has a lot of cool microclimates, as well as the fact that everywhere in Tehachapi is going to experience temperatures that are freezing, and it can make it really frustrating if you're wanting to grow a warm weather crop in March or April or into the fall. So I use a lot of row covers or crop covers to help with that. I use a fabric called Agribon, and it comes in different weights so that you can protect up to anywhere from 4 to 8 degrees. So even if you're going to have a 32-degree night, you can actually protect your crops down to 28, sometimes maybe even 22 degrees if you're using double layers and the right weight. So it actually will help you extend the gardening season both in the spring and in the fall, and will allow you to get a little bit more of the growing season in. It also will allow you to garden in the winter with some varieties, although some don't even need to be covered at all. So what I've done here is I've actually added a cleat. I don't know if you can see down here, but there's a cleat that holds this together with a bungee cord so that it's really secure. We get wind through here, especially in the fall and in the winter, so this will keep that down. I have some bracket clamps that go over this EMT conduit, and they just snap over it to hold the cloth in place. And I do this on the top because I'm not going to move the top of this all winter long, but I do raise and lower the sides using some little bag chip clips or whatever you want to call them from the kitchen stores, and I can just quickly pull and lower. I'll pull it tight, clamp, and do the same on both ends, and it's secure. This type right here actually works pretty good because you can see you can get a tighter clamp and it holds quite a bit. So I like that.
When it comes to watering, we do water every day. We have put in a drip system, so everybody has their own special drip. We water for about 10 minutes in the morning. And when it comes to our fruit trees, we water about 5 gallons once a week. And so we kind of trade off and give them a bucket full of water with a little bit of a hole drilled in the bottom, and so they get a little bit of a drip throughout the day on those watering days. That seems to work pretty well.
For the most part, I water using a handheld wand attached to my garden hose. I find that it allows me to be in control, and it's relaxing. It gives me more time and more reason to be in my garden, which I actually am always looking for something to do in my garden. I also feel like it allows me to water new seedlings more, like carrots that have to maintain a moist environment in order to germinate and sprout, versus something that's not going to need quite as much water. So Tehachapi has a lot of wildlife, particularly deer, and I've lived in an area where I had something every day in my garden. Right now, the area I live in really has only an occasional deer, rabbits, maybe a raccoon. Having a dog on the property, even though she's in the garage at night, she leaves her scent around during the day, and it really helps keep some of the deer and other animals further away. I find that my cats are often my worst problem, and so I do some things to protect the boxes so they don't use it as a litter box. But I think that for most of the time, what people don't realize is some of the smaller animals like birds and mice can be a problem, and that I found that was the hardest thing to protect from. So to keep the mice out, I took a water bucket and smeared peanut butter around the edge, and I filled it with water and put it right up against the box, and at night they run along the boxes and they go for the peanut butter and they fall in and drown. Sad for them, but it does keep them from eating everything that you plant.
Over the past years that I've gardened on my own, I think in Tehachapi here, I've had really good success with my tomatoes and peppers, and onions. So I really like to do a lot of salsas, different types of, mango salsas and vegetable salsas, with different fruits and stuff in it, or just spicy salsas.
When I think of our crops that we've grown, I love every single one of them. One of my favorites was our carrots. We grew Parisian carrots, which are about baby size. They're very small, but they were so delicious and very, very productive. Almost every single carrot came up and was a pretty good size. Our zucchini also was a wonder, and we pulled about 70 pounds of zucchini out of our garden this last year. And with the zucchini came zucchini flowers, which were a real treat. We stuffed them with ricotta and honey and fried them up, and they were just a perfect summer summer treat.
So my favorite crop is romaine lettuce because it's super easy to grow. In fact, Tehachapi, if you've noticed out in the fields, we in the Cummings Valley area, we grow lots and lots of lettuce. And that's because of our cool climates. Lettuce does really well. So does chard, kale, any of your leafy greens. You can grow them way into the fall, some through the winter without covering, and then early start in the spring. Other favorites are radishes, sugar snaps, arugula, so any kind of your leafy greens. So one of my favorite recipes is something new. I tend to grow a lot of radishes because they're easy and they grow most of the year in our home gardens in Tehachapi. But you can accumulate a lot really fast because they do grow so well, and you can only put so many on a salad. So one of the new things that I like to do is slice them up and saute them in a little olive oil and salt and pepper in a little saucepan or a little skillet. And this is something that in other countries I think they do a lot more often with their radishes, but something that we may not think about in the United States. I think the best thing a new gardener can do for choosing seed, or even somebody who's been gardening a while, is to see what they're selling in the stores, the retailers, because those are high demand seed varieties, and there's a reason for that. They are tried and true, and people really like those varieties, and that's why they carry them. There's it's always fun to experiment with some different types of varieties, different hybrids versus different heirloom varieties. But if you're starting out, you're going to have the most success with those common varieties that have proven themselves to be winners over and over with home gardeners, and they tend to remain the favorites.
When it comes to seed selection, we've been trying lots of different kinds of seeds, and we've really enjoyed Johnny's organic seeds. And we also like Peaceful Valley seeds. We know that they're open pollinated, and that means that we can collect those seeds again at the end of the season and plant them the next year, so we don't have to keep buying seeds. And that does help with pricing out the garden budget for the next year. Something I'd really like to share with fellow gardeners in Tehachapi and Bear Valley Springs especially: don't get discouraged. I know it can be so exciting at the beginning of the year, and you get your garden going and you see all those wonderful sprouts, and then a pest comes in and takes them all out, or maybe the frost comes in and grabs all of your beautiful almond tree blossoms and you don't get any almonds that year. Don't get discouraged. It is totally worth it, and I love every year when we've gotten even a little bit of produce, and it's so worth it to come out and pick a head of lettuce and make your own salad, or grab some radishes and grill them up on the grill, or make baby food out of carrots and have that be your baby's first meal. It's so rewarding, and I really hope everybody's able to try it.
Don't be afraid to do it. It's not like you're going to hurt the garden if you mess it up, so just have fun with it. Don't forget to water it, because it will dry out and you'll be sad of all your hard work to go to waste. So it's relaxing to come out here and sit in the garden and watch how fast the plants go. It's kind of like a therapeutic way to de-stress and be happy with what you've grown.
There are no mistakes in gardening, only experiments. Thanks, my friends, for watching this introductory to vegetable gardening video. If you would like to learn more about gardening in Tehachapi and beyond, please check out the resources that we've provided below. If you would like more information about functional lifestyle medicine, please like or subscribe this video, or please leave a comment or ask a question. Thanks for watching. Until the next time, my friends, be well. Bye.